Thank you, Samir, for inviting me to be part of the art experience. I was very excited to receive your invitation to join this panel. You know how disappointed I am not to be able actually to be there in person with fellow industry leaders and executives and with you. You've been a legendary champion of our industry, of magazines, Mr. Magazine, and you've not only been a source of good advice and insights, but also a teacher and a preacher of a lot of the points I'm going to mention now. So our journey with magazines started almost 15 years ago in my home country, Syria. There was a new law that was issued in 2003 to allow for the private sector to enter the media business. Before that, it was exclusively government owned and government controlled. We started then with a business magazine called Al-Iqtisadi. It started off as a monthly, then turned into a bi-weekly, then a weekly, which is a reverse of the trend that we see today. By the time we had to leave Syria in 2012, we were publishing a number of titles, 12 titles with different frequencies, and we created a culture actually of magazines in different verticals: business, youth, women, consumer magazines, B2B, and so on. We're very lucky to actually have an option to move to the United Arab Emirates in 2013 and started again there. And we started working on a new model, which is to partner with international publishers. So now we started 5 years ago, and now we have in our portfolio the Arabic editions of Harvard Business Review, MIT Technology Review, Popular Science, and before the end of the year, we're going to make an announcement on a partnership with a major US publisher. So our approach actually with our partners is that we would like to have a deep partnership with any publisher we work with. So first and foremost, a publisher, an international publisher that would like to come to the Middle East will have to have a vision of why they want to be there. Why is that? Because it is going to be a similar experience to what a publisher is facing in their home country. So unless you have that long-term vision, unless you have a sense of commitment to being in that market, then it's not going to work. And it happened actually with a number of publishers that came to the Middle East and has had to close down in few years. So what's our approach? I mean, this is our approach, and I know that it is the approach of many of our fellow publishers in the room. We approach magazines as brands. So they're not only a magazine that has a print edition and then it has a website and probably mobile edition and apps, but it is actually a living and a breathing brand. And once we start thinking of our magazines as brands, then the extensions of these brands can go outside editorial content, and they have adjacencies in the space and the industry that they serve. So our approach is that we think of magazine brands in three terms. First, systems. So a magazine has to be to serve the ecosystem of the industry that it's part of. It has to be the connector and the convener of a community, and it has to actually be able to become the epicenter of all the stakeholders in that ecosystem. So this is the ultimate goal of a magazine, of a media brand, I would say. The second is we need to become a platform. So it is a world of platforms today. And once we have that ability to actually convene people, then we are not only curating content for them, we are curating interactions. And this is what what platforms around the world are competing over. how can we become a place where interactions actually happen between our stakeholders? And that will lead us to think of also other extensions in which we can take our brands. The third is that we're community builders. So today it is an age of communities, small communities, larger communities, and large, massive global communities. So can we actually move from being publishers to being community builders and then capture the value and the immense value actually that exists in communities? Now, once we do the systems level, once we do the platform level, once we do the communities level, then I think we can build long-term and deep commercial partnerships with other brands that will need to connect with our audience and cultivate a relationship with our audience too. Now, can this happen in a partnership between an international brand and a local publisher? I would say yes. Our experience has been it has been going really well for both our partners internationally and for us. Definitely there are challenges in the media business model today, and that applies to the Middle East as well. Print is a challenging model. Audiences are declining unless you have a dynamic distribution model, and then you think of your readership, of your audiences, and as I just mentioned, of communities that you're building. The advertising business model is also challenging, and I'm pleased to say that we're in the publications that we do today. Most of our revenue actually comes from outside advertising, so it's mostly either events or subscriptions or other marketing services that we do with our partners. And you know, once you think of your brand as the epicenter of a system, of an ecosystem, then you're able to align yourself with other players in the ecosystem. Because think of, for example, a magazine that does entrepreneurship, and there is someone that is building an entrepreneurship ecosystem, a government, probably a policymaker, VCs, and so on and so forth. If you are part of that system, and if you become the platform for that system, and if you become the community builder for that system, then there is a lot of value to capture, and there is an opportunity for long time alignment with some of the potential commercial partners and ecosystem builders. And this is something that we already have in Harvard Business Review and MIT Technology Review. For example, with the MIT Technology Review, we have a partnership with the Dubai Future Foundation. It's a long-term partnership, and it actually enables us to move very quickly at a fast pace in building the MIT technology brand in the region here. So what would you look for in an international partner? I mean, from our perspective, as a local publisher, what we look for is a publisher that is not only interested in minimum guarantees and advertising revenue and growth plans over the years from conventional business models. When we go to an approach a global partner in the US or in Europe or elsewhere, we tell them how entrepreneurial we are, how we think of magazines as brands, the kind of extensions and adjacencies that we see, and we see if there is alignment. And if there is alignment, then this is something that we'd like to explore further. Now, from the international perspective, from a publisher in the US or Europe, when they look at the region, I think it is the same for them. They shouldn't be interested only in minimum guarantees. Whatever minimum guarantees is going to get isn't really to impact their bottom line in a significant way. However, this is a region that is being transformed. It is actually in transformation. There is a lot of potential. There is a lot of room for growth, absolutely. And if you have a long-term vision of why you want to be here, the kind of impact that you want to have and to make, the kind of commitment that you have for this region. So if you try to really understand it well, and you don't have to do this on your own, this is where an international partner comes in. This is, I think, could be a fruitful partnership both ways. Instead of looking for the conventional publisher to be your partner in the region, I think you need to look for the most entrepreneurial partner. People that think of magazines not only as editorial content, not only as books, as print or mobile or web, not only to increase your footprint or the magazine's footprint among audiences, but really to think of it as a brand, as a brand that can be extended, that a brand promise that can be taken to other adjacencies in that system, in that ecosystem, and in the community that it serves. Minimum guarantees didn't really work for a lot of the US publishers when they came to the region. So there were disappointments. And there were disappointments also for the local publishers, the local partners for these US publishers.